What's up YouTube? This is Slaan here from Northern Lan again with part 2 of the custom Cityblock series, and this will just be a little quick video just showing you where I'm at with the project so far. And what we are looking at now is the second city tile. This is a totally new surface layer than what we're used to seeing, and this is the start of me beginning to connect the roadway to the sewer tunnels. And by what I mean when I say that is, I've hinted a few times how I've made it my lifelong ambition, especially with this little project, to be able to drive straight from the surface layer down into the tunnels beneath, and this is the start of me making that happen. So it's a very simple design up top. I'm just utilising the cross section in the middle like all of the other city blocks do, but we've made this look more like an alley, walled off. And what happens is with some of the prefabs is as they spawn in, they will cut some of the sections of this wall out, so it's not just going to be a solid thing all the way through on every single city block. As the city generates, certain prefabs will mess around with it, and probably not all in a good way. So this is the first two entrances, and rather than go north-south and east-west, I figured that if by happenstance these tiles were to spawn side by side, because you're probably going to want more than one, especially in the bigger cities, I didn't want people just to go down this ramp and then as they cross into the next city block pop straight back up out of another one. I'm going to try and keep things a bit more dynamic, try and make the city so that every time it spawns it's quite random. So we went with the south and with the east entrances this time. So I'm going to give you a quick little look down here. It's nothing particularly special, to be perfectly honest. They're still a little bit rough, need a little bit of tidying up, but this is the gist of it. Basically you can drive down and get through here, not through this one because the iron gate's in the way, but the door is unlocked if you're trying to make that journey on foot. But I'm hoping what this will also mean is zombies are going to have much better access to the sewer levels as well. I quite like the parkour style thing that you get going on when you're running around over night time with all these city blocks, and you know, we don't want to make it too easy for ourselves, so I've opened some of the areas up, and as you can see, we've got a little car crash going on here, and this will be where I drive the mini bike down. So now that we've seen those two, I think for the first time I'm going to actually go and jump onto a mini bike, and I'll apologise for the noise now. These things sputter and they make so much, it's like drilling with an auger. That's why I'm glad I've got the admin axe. Oh, I'll just pop out of God mode. So here we go on the rather noisy mini bike. So you know, we can get down here, we can pop down, we'll get underneath there, and we'll bounce off every single obstacle that's in the way. And it's not meant to be easy. I'd planned that over the long term, especially on a PvP server, you might spend a bit more time knocking your way into these tunnels and clearing access for yourselves depending on where you want to be. And what I'm actually looking for is not that. I'm not going to bore you with the mini bike ride for too long. That's just something in particular that I wanted to show you, which was this little bit here. And this is the first part of the advanced tunneling, where we are going to start bringing the multiple layers together. And this takes us into the old upper sewer system. Now there's not much you can do in here. This is going to be its own little square circuit, but what I think is going to happen over the course of this project is at midpoints I will probably knock tunnels in between the city blocks so that you can travel through the city at this layer as well. So hopefully there's not going to be too many entrances to get down here, but it's not going to matter all that much. We'll just kill the sound on this thing. So as I was saying, hopefully, I don't know how the spawning of the tiles is going to go. I'm still not sure how many we're going to make, but I would plan on having, on a big city, maybe 4 to 8 of these city blocks themselves spawning randomly throughout. So what it means, if we can get all the other tunnels below connected, is it'll not matter how many entrances you've got up top, you're going to have quite a complete and thorough maze going around all the different layers themselves. And as we can see, I've got the little subway cart stashed in there as well. So there's not a huge amount of different things going on, but like I say, at the minute it's about making the city as dynamic and as random as possible, while not going too crazy, so to speak. So, I've squeezed the trees not in here. This will break things up a little bit. We're not used to seeing trees within the vanilla style cities. I might even get around to making a few prefabs that'll spawn in the actual lots themselves that are a bit more wilderness like. But that's a task for another day. So the last thing I wanted to cover in this video is, as I mentioned in the previous one, every city block that I do, I want to try and make something different at every single layer. So with regards to the actual water level in the lower sewers, what I've started to do is the first sort of stages of shaking this bit up. So we have the first knocked through area, and as you can see, I've basically just replaced all the concrete with a few pipes, a bit of console and stuff like that. But what this means, and what you're going to start seeing, is on the opposite corner of that we have the knocked through area. So as it's placing the city blocks together, we're going to start seeing areas like this that look totally different to what you would normally expect when you're blasting through. And if I just fly down here as an example, has this got something different? No, I've done a few little things, and I don't want to do too much to a single tile. The idea is 2 or 3 things on every tile. It'll really shake things up. So instead of just the repeated, the long tunnels that are there, and here we go. So I mean, like I say, even things like this, just the little simple tunnels through, it means to get from A to B that wouldn't normally be there. And if you can picture the knocked out areas that we were just looking at, I think where this bridge is on a couple of tiles, I'm going to actually tunnel right into here and make quite a large open area. Now I'm doing the best I can to try and keep all of this stuff under what would be roads, and the outside edge of the prefabs, I mean up to about this point, 4 or 5 blocks into the lots themselves, the buildings are going to start overlapping the cutout areas beneath, so we might have the odd collapsing issue. I've tested a little bit with buildings on, more so just to see how the ground layers are cutting into the lower levels, because I don't want to go through all the effort of planning tunnels and sections and stuff underneath the ground just to have a prefab overwrite and fuck it all up. So a lot of the time though, I just have the buildings knocked off. I don't need to see them. I know roughly where they're going to spawn. And I think we've covered the tunnels, we've covered the sewer. I'll have a quick nip around just to make sure there's nothing that I've missed and to give you a bit of a look at what's going on. I'm really loving this layer of the sewers now. The water area just looks awesome, and it's very basic. There's nothing particularly special going on there, but I think once you've got half a dozen tiles with different little cutouts and dugout bits, pipes and control areas and what have you, all blending together, creating a different look every time depending on what they're sitting next to, I really think the city blocks themselves are they're gonna be taken to another level. So if I pop back up, and we'll have another quick look at this tunnel here, because again these are quite plain and I'm not sure how to spice it up because it runs down at an angle. What options for building at this sort of angle are quite limited, so I might just get the odd pipe section or something through the wall, or do a couple of rubble sections. But hopefully I think across 2 or 3 of the different city blocks we'll see ramps similar to this one connecting different layers together. So like I say, by the time the project's done and we've got between say 6 and 8 different city blocks to play with before we consider different rotations, you're going to have to really go out of your way to get a city that spawns the same as another. So for those who are familiar with the sewers, I'm really hoping to fuck with your heads with this project now, and I don't want anybody to really, not without going down and exploring beforehand, have a clear idea of how they can use and travel through the sewer system. We're going to know that things like this level, there's going to be a square grid sort of tunnel plan, but things like these little entrances, when they only exist on certain sides of certain tiles, they aren't always going to be there. So when you're bombing down here on your mini bike and you notice that little dugout there, you might think, oh, I could maybe use this for a base, or I can utilise this somehow and I'll remember where that is, or I'll make a note on the map. Because as you can see when you look at it from the map itself, you cannot see what's going on beneath the ground at that level. Now if I just pop back onto the surface area, I think we are pretty much sorted for this video. So the project is moving forward. I'm not going full steam ahead as fast as I usually work. For me, there's no particular rush before Alpha 14 to get these out. I will if I can, but new ideas are coming up. I mean, like I was just saying earlier on about connecting the old upper sewer level between the city blocks themselves. Things like this, these ideas just happen. You know, I'll build something and then something else will show up and I'll think, well, actually, maybe this way is a better way to do it. Or if I do that, as in this case, I'm going to have to do this to make that a little bit better. So if you just bear with us, go play around with Stallion's Den's new superhighway that he's got sitting on top of the old sewer system, which has really shaken the map up a little bit. I mean, I've had a couple of playthroughs with it now, and the first version that he gave us was extremely sloppy, and I was thinking, you know, Jesus Christ, what's this guy doing? But the second version, which was the first version released on the forums, was actually pretty good. He tidied all the stuff up, and it's very plain looking, very repetitive with all the lampposts and all that sort of things, but as a concept it really is going to shake the map up quite a bit. So with all that out of the way, I hope you are liking what you are saying, and as usual, your feedback is extremely important. If there's something that you would like us to do, feel free to hit us up in the comments on Steam, on the forums, in the Facebook group, of which there'll be links in the description. And I'm a reasonable guy, I'll listen to whatever you've got to say. And you might have some genuinely good ideas, things that I haven't thought of, so I'm always eager to get feedback from people, even negative, especially negative, because you guys basically spread the word of the mod about, and yous are basically how it gets so popular. So like I say, if there's anything I can do for you, just let us know. So thank you for watching, and please like, don't forget to comment, and more importantly subscribe, and I will see you next time for part 3, where hopefully we'll see another new city block and some new tunnels and some whole new funky stuff. So for now, this is Slaan from Northern Land checking out, and I'll see you next time.